Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD movie channel on YouTube. I'm Tony, and today I'm going to take a look at my top 7 superhero films of 2017. So to be clear, these are just DC and Marvel based films. It's important to note that there are other superhero films that came out this year, but I really feel like the DC and Marvel universes are the ones that get the most attention, and they're the ones that I wanted to talk about today. I chose these from top to bottom in my own personal opinion. There's nothing objective about this list. It's just the movies that I liked from worst to best. Let's get started. Number 7, Justice League. Now, this might be a stinger for a lot of people that are watching this, but I really didn't enjoy the movie. Let me be very clear here. It was super entertaining, and it was awesome to watch some of my favorite DC comic book characters come to life on the big screen. But overall, I just thought it was a hot mess, and there's nothing that will take that away from me unless there's a director's cut or some special version of the film that gets released later down the road. Overall, entertaining, the spectacle was great, but a hot mess of a film in terms of story and character arc. Number 6, the Lego Batman movie. I was actually late to this party because I didn't watch it until it was released on DVD and Blu-ray, and I fell in love. Not only is it because I love the Batman character, but this Lego universe that Warner Brothers has built in partnership with Lego is really fun and unique and clever and witty, and anything else you can use to describe just how upbeat and happy this franchise has become. Now, the other thing I want to note is I really like Will Arnett as Batman and Bruce Wayne. The other thing I really loved was that it's basically 90 minutes of non-stop Easter eggs. And that's really fun, and this medium of animation is the perfect outlet for Warner Brothers and DC to sprinkle in Easter eggs. It works in the live-action remakes, but it's just not the same when you count how many Easter eggs that the filmmakers put into the film. Number 5. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This was a good movie, and I really enjoyed it overall, but it just didn't quite live up to the original for me. It's got the same characters that we fell in love with in the first film, and it's a part of the same MCU we've all grown to love, but there was just something missing. And for me personally, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were on the same planet for the bulk of the film. I also really didn't like the villain as much as I did in the first film. The MCU is always criticized for poor villains, but specifically speaking in this movie, I felt like Kurt Russell was too charming and just way too good of an actor for me to believe the turn. And I don't think that that's a spoiler. I think the trailers are pretty much giving away the fact that Kurt Russell plays Chris Pratt's father in the film. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. What a reincarnation of this character. I absolutely love this movie. I know it's number 4 on the list, but that's only because we were given so many great superhero movies this year. What Marvel was able to do with Spider-Man is remarkable. It gave us a new Peter Parker for the ages, and one that so closely resembles the comics that it really made me fall in love with the character all over again. And for all the criticism that the MCU gets for its poor villains, Michael Keaton brought some really cool elements to his villain of the Vulture. It was really unique, and while I didn't like that they found a way to connect the Vulture to Peter Parker, I still felt like it worked within the context of the film. I also have to compliment them on the special effects and action sequences. I felt like they were really unique and fresh to a character that's been done before in the films. This is the 7th time Spider-Man's been on the big screen, and I felt like overall this was the best interpretation of the character. Number 3, Thor Ragnarok. Who would have thought that Thor Ragnarok would be one of the biggest films of 2017, surpassing some of the most legendary comic book characters in cinema? I absolutely fell in love with what Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth brought to Thor Ragnarok. Now, the trailers gave away a lot, but what it didn't give away was that this is a pure comedy film that just so happens to be about superheroes. And I love Chris Hemsworth in this movie. I know he was into comedies before, like Ghostbusters, but he's never been asked to do the comedy that he was in this film, and I think he nailed it. I also really like the Hulk stuff. Even Loki, bringing Tom Hiddleston back to the franchise, was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I hope that Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth come back for another solo outing. I'll be honest with you, I debated myself on what was my first and second top films of 2017, and I have to go with number 2, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a brilliant film, and I felt that Director Patty Jenkins and star Gal Gadot and Chris Pine really brought something unique and fresh to cinema. And I felt like the filmmakers, cast, and crew really paid homage to the history of this character in such a beautiful way. The story was tight, with only a couple things that I would have probably omitted from the film. The special effects were spectacular, and the chemistry between the actors was undeniable. Again, this was the first time that this character was brought to the big screen in a solo film, and I feel like DC, Warner Brothers, and the filmmakers did it justice. No pun intended. And it was a really tough call between this and my #1 film of the year, and I'll explain why in a moment. But with this particular film, it was the first outing, and I know there's more great things to come. And my #1 favorite DC or Marvel character film of 2017 is Logan. I have to be honest, one of the reasons that it took the top of my list was because we've been married to this character, so to speak, for almost 20 years. Hugh Jackman has done a magnificent job playing this character in a record 9 movies. And while that record probably won't stand because the MCU continues to expand and Robert Downey Jr. comes back for more and more films as Iron Man, Hugh Jackman will cement his place in history as one of the best actors of our time. And the way that the filmmakers came together, I felt like they did something really special to sign off the character once and for all. And without spoiling anything, to see how the film ended and how we say goodbye to the character of Logan and Wolverine, it's something that has honestly stayed with me since I saw the movie. They completely changed this superhero genre and flipped it on its head. They brought us a Western-style film with some of the best visuals and story arc that we've ever seen in a superhero film. Sir Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman really gave us something for the ages that will stand the test of time. And while it's still early, I firmly believe that the movie is going to get Oscar consideration in the upcoming awards season. So, that's my list from worst to best, or I should say least favorite to most favorite, superhero films of 2017. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of content uploaded regularly. You can find other movie reviews on the channel as well. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.